Hello, ladies and gentlemen. This is Eddie Marcus again on this particular morning, beautiful morning, Tuesday. Well, tomorrow I go in for this procedure. Well, we'll see what that's going to be like. But I get up this morning and I go to deal with the three S's. And as I'm sitting there and contemplating, as I always do, about we the people, and I'm thinking about how far we are away from the vision that I have of a society that's living. I mean, really living. And I looking at some of the shortcomings that we experience here in our society every day and perhaps across the world. And I'm thinking about what we look at, the activities that people engage themselves in, especially the kinds that puts them in jails, puts them in prisons for extended periods of time, and have them doing this act or that act. And I'm thinking, what is it? And then I ask the question, what is it that all of us want? What is it that, well, let's not say just necessarily want, is absolutely required? What is our number one concern? And our number one concern is survival. Survival, that's our number one concern. And now how do we survive? I mean, what kind of standards do we equate to ourselves? And we look at what we can imagine and what we can't, or we look at what actually exists or what doesn't, the extremes. So you can imagine yourself in any of these positions or above. And based upon the system that you live in, you have to try to find out what maneuvers you must make in order to be achievable, for these things to be achievable. And in reality, what we find is that, especially in our society, is that there are variable routes to a certain end. And some things that might work for some might not work for others. So what I'm saying is that people do what they can, whatever they have to, let's put it that way, to survive, whatever they have to do to move up the ladder, whatever they have to do. This is truth. Whatever they have to do. If you want to be on top of the world, whatever you have to do to get there, you can do it. If you want to be in the middle of the world, whatever it takes to do to get there, that's what you do. Now, the problem is that many of these things that people find themselves doing have been labeled as illegal, meaning we don't want you to do that. And you say, well, why don't you want me to do that? This works for me. Then they say, well, that might work for you, but it works against me. Then somebody else might say, well, what you're doing works for you, but it works against me. And so you got that argument going. And now you got policy and legislation that's made to prompt either side at any given time. And at the same time, it's affecting somebody negative. Somebody always negative. It's like a winner, somebody got to lose. And so the major problem, as I'm sitting there thinking about it, I'm thinking about the things that people do. For instance, give you an example. We talk about cartels. And when we talk about the cartels, we usually talk about trafficking in drugs and to the extremes that they will go to get these illegal acts and the money that comes with it. Now, the question is, it's illegal, right? And these people do the stuff anyway, right? And so we look at them as being bad people, right? Because they're violating the law, they're flooding the streets with what we have been taught is something that we don't want on the streets because it works against us, right? Right. Now, what are these people really trying to do? What are they really trying to do? I mean, just think about it. What are they really trying to do? Are they really trying to get drugs into this market? Is that what they're really trying to do? And if that is what they are really trying to do, then why are they really trying to do that? They are trying to do that, to get money. Money that would enable them to do whatever they have imagined themselves doing up that chain of success or above it. This is their means. It is illegal, But this is what they find that they have to do. This is what is available to them because the other stuff doesn't work for them. So in order, that's just to understand that particular example, it can be associated across the board in life, all across the board. Preachers, same thing. They want to be somebody, but they can't be somebody. So they find this as a venue that they can attach themselves to and be somebody according to the standards of the system in which they live. This is available to them. So I would say, if I was counseling anybody, that take away the excuses that any people can use at any point in time. Take away those excuses. Now, what does that mean? By making sure that you get out of the way and allow the way to exist that enables everyone to survive at any standard of living that they choose, and none of them conflict with another. Now, that might sound kind of complicated, but it really isn't. What it basically means is that we human beings who have placed ourselves in positions of authority, all the way from pharaohs and kings and queens and presidents and Indians and blacks and whites and female and male, we've placed ourselves in positions of authority. And in that authority, it basically means that we can accept no one equaling us. That's why some people say they're the chosen one. That's why some people think they're the smartest. That's why some people think they are the greatest. Now, when they act like that, weak-minded people, for one reason or another, some actually believe what is being said. Some actually want to go along with it for different reasons. But in the meantime, it all exists. And it reflects itself in our daily activities. Whereas when we trust the power that we can't see, now this is what I tell you is frightening to some of you. Trusting the powers that you can't see. Somebody say, well, how can I believe in trusting in a power that I can't see? I ask them, well, this is how. You walk on the power that you can't see's earth. You walking on that earth. Now, where did that earth come from? You don't know. You know one thing, well, man didn't put it here. You breathe in air that gives you oxygen that comes from some place. You know man didn't have anything to do with it, yet you. And so you accept that because it's right there. You're being used. You can't deny it. You can try, but you can't deny it. But now the source from which it came, that you don't know. That you do not know. But you do know where it didn't come from. It didn't come from you, and it didn't come from anyone outside of us. That we are sure. Now, what comes from us? Our systems. I know I'm repeating myself, but some of you need this. What comes from us? Our systems of government, which reflect all of our prejudices, which allows all of the ugliness that exists in the world. And you don't want to trust what you can't see, that allows you to live every day by that authority. And you can't see it, but you're benefiting from it every day. Now you want your dreams and aspirations to come true. And it is required that you trust that spirit that you can't see, which means that you are no better than anyone else. And yet all of you are the greatest. Why? Because you are the reflection of the greatest. And you reflect the greatest by engaging yourselves as you have been created to do. And you know to do, because doing it gives you your greatest joy. And when you apply yourself, something always comes back. And what comes back? Enough of everything that you need to survive in anything as you can imagine. And it prompts all of your peace, your prosperity, your freedom, and your joy of life and the fulfillment of your dreams. You can't beat that anywhere. That is divine. And that is a message that I have been given to share with you, to let you know that that freedom that you seek in some other place or right here can actually happen only if you are being led by the right power, the right spirit, that love which your dreams. I want to thank you so very much. This is Eddie Marcus saying, when you sit sometime and you think, People will do all kinds of things to achieve what they want to achieve. And if there are problems for thinking people, the solution would be to find out what creates those problems and eliminate that. But in order to do that, you got to care. In order to do that, you got to want to do that. And it will be done. But anything less than that, jails and prisons, that means you are a bigot. That means you are filled with hate and you don't give a darn because someone is benefiting from it. And it must be you. Until next time, goodbye.